What is good, y'all? Beautiful souls. What is good in the neighborhood? I hope things are okay for you, if I can say that. If they're not great, I hope they're getting there. And I hope you remember that the universe has much love for you, even when things feel bleh and not awesome, because that's life and sometimes that happens. Today, I'm going to start a little series that I hope I can keep up with, but we'll see. And it will focus on life hacks, tricks, and tips about life that I have learned from my entire life, about to be 30 years old this calendar year of 2025. And so, like Kendrick Lamar and SZA, I'm going 30 for 30. So these are your Millennial Core Life Hacks. What? Okay, so for me, growing up as first generation born in the US, like my family growing up in the different households that I was moved on to and between, they were really into cable, they were really into TV. And my parents didn't grow up with TV. So it was definitely a really big deal that um, my family had access to television, and VHS tapes, of course, and things of that nature, and just electronics and technology in the United States. And a lot of the things I have learned and retained um, go back to my childhood. And a big one for me is Blues Clues with OG Steve. OG original Nickelodeon Blues Clues. Um, and a big reason why this show is significant for me is that as an adult, having worked really hard through spirituality and mending my mental health with spiritual wellness and a spiritual journey and spiritual practice, I have rediscovered a lot of not just the joy of feeling like a kid again and my inner child, but also the things I needed to know how to just enjoy life, and like the big things in life that were important. I learned in like the first 5 years of my life. Like everything else, I mean, I could say that learning like how to use a graph calculator in math was maybe helpful at one point. Um, but I'm not a mathematician. So Blue's Clues saved my life. And I'll tell you why, because as a very neurodivergent person, I got a lot of complex things going on in my noggin here. And what was really helpful for me in my spiritual journey is just embracing the signs, symbols, and synchronicities. And then Blues Clues came to me, seemingly out of nowhere. But of course, it was through spirit, and it was such a powerful, visceral memory because I hadn't thought about the show in years, but I thought about it, and it felt like, oh, I'm blue. Who's clues? Blues Clues. And I was like, wait, what? Where? And all of a sudden, the distractions I had from my phone, from the news, from feeling like I had to keep up with social media, all of that, all of the zeitgeist, status quo expectations fell away. I had my tower moment. I had a moment where I had to stop screenshotting on my phone and computer, and I just took in, absorbed nature, the radio, and used other senses. And I also used my five senses very differently. And it felt just so uplifting and blissful just to be alive and to notice these. So I'm going to go through some of the intro of my little journey and try to summarize through pop culture, TV, movie, song references, but mostly music references, of the keys to life. How to hack your life. This is it. So, other than me personally telling my family that my favorite color was blue, specifically because I knew deep down I was a gender creative kid, gender expansive individual, but I didn't have words to say, hey, can you all treat me like the tomboy that I am? But I didn't want to get pink everything. But when I said my favorite color was blue, I ended up getting blue everything for gifts, for special occasions, or on everyday occasions, whether they were clothes or candy. I was always getting blue things. So Blue's Clues also for me hits home. A song that was really powerful for me in my telepathy and heavy channeling with spirit and the collective was Radio Gaga by Queen. I specifically listened to and watched the Live Aid concert version first, and that one was pretty visceral, especially to watch the video recording online, like everyone in the crowd clapping their hands together, being so in sync and screaming back at Fred Mercury. So it's a very, very powerful song. And I'll share the lyrics. So the lyrics go, you had your time, you had the power. You've yet to have your finest hour. Radio, everybody, all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo Goo, Radio Gaga. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio blah blah. And for me, this is significant because music has always been at the forefront of my spirituality, whether in a church or just at home vibing at a party, discovering my own music as I went through being a teenager, a music snob in college, and even now, like a reformed music snob that welcomes in music I've heard throughout my whole life without having to listen to things ironically. But I also have channeled a lot with clairaudience and song association. So this song is really big for me. And another song that hits right on that mark with Queen's Radio Gaga is On the Radio by Regina Spektor. On the radio, we hear November Rain. And then it says, we listen to it twice because the DJ is asleep. On the radio, on the radio. So there's a lot that I get musically and that I've gotten through my life musically. And so many songs have hit me. I could probably make 1 million curated playlists about all of these different vibes. But these songs definitely hit home for me in a really big way. And for me, why I bring up these songs in particular is because I had all these moments where I couldn't find my phone in my apartment. I was so deep in the spiritual journey of it all, the epiphanies of it all, the tower moments of it all, the release and the surrender to the universe, and just witnessing signs, symbols, synchronicities everywhere. My entire life was almost flashing back towards, like, back at me, where I was remembering all of these songs from my childhood, from adolescence. And it was like I would remember key lyrics or just the songs in general. And it's wild how I feel like I have forgotten so much that I learned in school, in the arts or otherwise, even subjects I enjoyed, or people's names, people's birthdays, even for friends and work stuff. I forget all kinds of things all the time. But when it comes to music and listening to a song over and over again, even if it was years ago. And a lot of this phenomenon I know is common too. Like, we'll remember songs. Like, I'll remember lyrics to songs I didn't even like, but I heard it on the radio. I heard it on the radio. I didn't even download it, but I heard it enough in passing to know the words, or to know some of the words, or to know it enough to look it up, to research it, and then to listen to it and say, oh my gosh, there's the sign for me, there's the lyricism. And if we think about, like, humans as, even folks who are maybe on different wavelengths than us, maybe they got different vibrations going on, or different opinions, views, etc. So many people connect through music. And what a song means to one person can mean something else to another person, and that can mean totally different to the artist singing it, playing it, producing it, writing it. And some of those might be the same person, or all different people who are bringing that music to us, right? And it's so powerful, whether it's in a live concert, or even just singing in the shower, screaming at the top of our lungs at home, doing solo karaoke, or singing with friends, or performing. All of this just adds to the frequency of music, of acoustic waves, and how powerful they are, right? And, like, also through text and language. And what's beautiful about music is it's all of these things. It's poetry, there's instrumentals. It's like such an it's beyond an oral experience. And it's important to remember that at its core, music is also vibrations, is also that raw element of acoustics, that you can break them down and deconstruct them, all of the pieces that make up a song, whether it has lyrics or not, different instrumentals it may have, instruments, or if it's electronic, digitized, synths, whatever it's got going on. We have all of this magic. And then we have the people's energy that brings that music to life, right? Which is really powerful. And if we think and remember that we're all connected, as a species, as living beings and organisms on planet Earth. We're connected to the fungi, we're connected to the plants and the trees and the non-human animals. And that's why also non-human animals can respond and react to music and things of the human world. And plants can sing. Did you know plants can sing? Look it up. A few artists and scientists have played around with it. So I won't put anyone's claim out there, because I don't know for sure who's the first to do it. But there are a few artists I've seen play around with plants singing and making music. And it's really beautiful, and it's really cool. And it uses science, but it's also art. So that was my big life hacks, come from those two songs, Radio Gaga and On the Radio. Radio Gaga by Queen, On the Radio by Regina Spektor, feel free to listen to those songs. Maybe if you're a big audiophile like me, where you just can't get enough of music, you can listen to those songs. You can put your library on shuffle and just see what comes out to you and see if anything feels like it's the perfect timing for you to hear that song, or perfect timing for you to hear those lyrics or read those lyrics. I want you to really experience music and life and things we watch, things that come up on our feed. What if they're not a coincidence? What if they're not just frivolous throwaways like, oh, well, it was just what was on. Oh, well, it was already playing. When you walk into your apartment building lobby, or you walk into that store, you roll up to the party, you roll up to the doctor's office, whatever it may be, and there's specific music playing, why not take a listen? Because it may be exactly what you need to hear or pay attention to right now. Or it might be an earworm that you can't get out of your head. But why can't you get it out of your head? So those are my personal journey life hack intros, and this is just one out of the 30 to come. But music is a big part of it. Blues Clues is part of the ADHD and the autistic brain being like, what's going on, what, so much at once, so much at once, so much at once. But then it helps me snap back to myself, remember who I am. So yeah, that's my tidbit for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully the next ones will be more concise than this. But tune in for another episode of Millennialcore Life Hacks 30 for 30, 2 through 30, coming to a mobile device near you. Peace and light.